All right, let's dive in. We're going to tackle a topic that sounds, super formal and maybe even a little scary: nursing jurisprudence. But here's the thing, it's not just some stuffy courtroom term, it's actually woven into every single shift you work. So today, we're going to break down the legal rulebook for your nursing career. And honestly, this is the best way to think about it. We're talking about legal guardrails. See, nursing jurisprudence isn't about punishing you, not at all. It's about protecting you. Just picture this whole system as the guardrails on the highway of your career. They're to keep both you and your patients safe from harm. So, what is it really? When you boil it all down, nursing jurisprudence is just the collection of laws that lays out your professional conduct, your rights, and of course, your obligations. It's the official rulebook that makes sure you're practicing safely and legally.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about your professional boundaries. If we're sticking with that highway journey idea, then your scope of practice, well, that's your map. It's the essential guide you've got to read before you even think about putting the key in the ignition.
And the most critical part of that map? That's the Nurse Practice Act, or the NPA. Every single state, every jurisdiction has one. And let me tell you, it is the absolute final word on what you are legally allowed to do as a nurse. It's the ultimate source of truth for where your professional boundaries lie.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The NPA, that sets the big, broad legal framework, right? But your personal scope of practice is also shaped by three other huge things: your license, your education, and your experience. All three of those work together to define what's safe and appropriate for you specifically to do.
All right, so we've got our guardrails, and we've got our map. But what about the hazards on the road? The potholes and the sharp turns. That brings us to negligence and malpractice. And believe me, understanding the pieces here is the key to navigating this area safely.
So, for a malpractice claim to even have a chance of succeeding, a legal team has to prove all four of these things, no exceptions. First, there's duty. They have to show a professional relationship existed between you and the patient. Second is breach of duty. They have to prove you failed to meet the standard of care. Third, causation. Your failure has to be the direct cause of the injury. And finally, damages. The patient had to have suffered actual harm. Physical, emotional, you name it. And this is the part I really want you to hear. The legal bar for malpractice, it's incredibly high. A simple mistake, or even just a bad outcome, does not automatically mean it's malpractice. All four of those pieces we just talked about, duty, breach, causation, and damages, every single one has to be proven. It's a huge hurdle. Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about the person at the very center of all of this, your patient. If you're the driver on this healthcare journey, they're your passenger. And pretty much all of your legal duties are designed to honor them and keep them safe.
And there are three fundamental rights you're always protecting. First, informed consent. That just means the patient gets the full story, risks, benefits, the works, before they agree to anything. Then there's confidentiality, which we all know and love as HIPAA, right? Protecting their private info. And last but not least, the right to refuse treatment. This one's huge. A competent patient can say no, and that's that, even if you think it's the wrong call. This really drives home just how important consent is. There's a huge legal difference here that every nurse needs to get. Assault is the threat of touching someone without permission. Think of saying, if you don't take this pill, I'm going to hold you down. Battery, on the other hand, is the actual act of touching them without permission, like giving that shot after they've clearly said no. Big difference. Okay, here are a few other quick legal terms you'll probably run into. A tort. Sounds fancy, but it's just a civil wrong done to someone. Slander and libel are both about defamation, harming someone's reputation. The easy way to remember is slander is spoken, libel is written, like in a letter. And false imprisonment is exactly what it sounds like, restraining a patient without a good legal reason. All right, now I need you to lean in for this one, because if you remember nothing else, remember this. It's probably the single most important rule in all of nursing jurisprudence. If it wasn't charted, it wasn't done. I'll say it again. If you didn't document it, then from a legal perspective, it never happened. Your charting is your absolute best defense. Sometimes it's your only defense. So as we start to wrap this up, let's pull it all together. It's so easy to look at all these rules and just think, okay, this is just stuff I have to do to not get sued. But the real reason these guardrails exist, it's so much bigger than that. When it comes right down to it, it's about one thing: accountability. These laws are here to make sure every patient, no matter who they are, gets a solid standard of quality care. And And this is just as important. They give you, the professional, a clear, defensible framework for all the tough decisions you have to make day in and day out. And here's a really cool, kind of mind-bending part of all this. That standard of care we keep talking about, it's not set in stone, not even close. It's always changing, always evolving. What was considered the absolute best practice just 5 years ago might be totally outdated today. And you can bet the standard is going to keep on changing as science and medicine keep moving forward.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important pro tip of all. What's the single best way to stay inside those legal guardrails and keep your practice safe? It's committing to lifelong learning. Seriously, staying up to date isn't just about being a great nurse for your patients. It's literally your best legal defense.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to chew on. Knowing everything we know, that the standards are going to change, the tech is going to change, the laws are going to change, is your practice built for the road ahead? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.
Like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification button to get more videos.